In this video, we're going to be reviewing UX and UI portfolios. I'm going to be scanning through these 3 portfolios rather quickly as a hiring manager would, and calling out and critiquing key elements and things that you need to be aware of when you're creating your UX UI design portfolio. Just to give you a quick intro, my name is Dee and I've worked in UX and UI design for over 12 years, including leading teams, hiring people for UX and UI roles, and reviewing tons of portfolios. And as we dig through each of these portfolios, I'm going to be taking the role of the hiring manager as I would read it as if I was hiring someone for a real role. As you're watching this video, if you have any comments or questions about the critiques I'm making or about the portfolios, please let us know in the comments below. If you like this video and you want to see more content around UX and UI design, subscribe to our channel. We've got more videos just like this coming out every week. Now let's dive into the first portfolio. This portfolio was sent into us from Matt Starr. What a name, by the way, Mr. Starr. Very quick, punchy tagline, versatile UX and UI and product designer. This is great that you point out that you're also up for product design roles. This is a really great thing to do, is to use the words of the roles that you're applying for in the description of who you are. And if we scan down the rest of this page, we see a few examples of, there's a mobile app example. This one is desktop and mobile. The images are a little different each time, which makes it feel interesting. So the next screen, it's showing this kind of screen view, lots of different versions of this app that is built. The next one is with the logo and design. So this is really versatile and diverse range of examples that I feel like I'm going to be looking at, if only from the images that I'm seeing. So there's a great choice of imagery here that visually makes it feel like Matt has done a lot of different types of work. And that may or may not be true, but the images actually are telling me that story as I'm looking over this front page. So now, as a hiring manager looking at this portfolio, I'm probably going to dig into most or at least a few of these, but today let's just dig into one. How about we look at this desktop and mobile app called Leafy, a beautiful shopping experience. So I already clearly know, okay, this is a good example for me to look at. I want to see about shopping experience. The hiring manager will also really be thinking about their own company and who they need to hire and what tasks they need them to be able to do. So you need to clearly explain what the examples are about. Is it a shopping experience? Is it a search experience? Is it a food experience that you've designed? Because the hiring manager will be able to say, oh, that feels relevant for this company. That feels relevant for the job I need someone to do. So if we have a little deeper look into Leafy, at the top, we've got a brief description of what it is. Great, this was immediately clear. An online store and wellness brand. That's almost all I read of that whole paragraph, and that's great. That's what I need to know. The hiring manager that's looking at your portfolio is definitely going to be scanning, just like I am now, and pulling out the really most relevant pieces of information that helps them read and understand more about you. And really nice short description here as well, that Matt did the branding, the product design, and the user testing for this project. So great. I'm going to skim over and look through the rest of this example and pull out really what a hiring manager would be seeing and looking at on this page as they look through it. Okay, so the objective here, which is important because the hiring manager is going to look at your portfolio, look at the projects you worked on or the work that you did, what the objective was, and then they're going to look for how you achieve those objectives. What tools did you use, methods, skills, what information did you use, and how did you use that to achieve the objective of that project? Okay, so the interesting thing as I read over this paragraph from the perspective of a hiring manager looking at this person and the project they did, is that I really want to see that this work was done because there's a user need, or there's some reason that's not just from this one person's perspective of, I would like to work on this, so I decided to work on it. So in this objective, I would love to see more words that talk about why this project was relevant and interesting for people in the real world rather than just the person writing their portfolio. So that would be my one main call out and key point here. Let's scan through a bit more on the rest of the portfolio. Credits, tools, so this is the role. that they performed. So this is great. Created a set of brand guidelines. This is a really nice itemized list of specifically the things that this person did in this project. Brand guidelines, low and high fidelity wireframes, user testing, professional mock-ups, and a working app prototype. That's a really nice list for a hiring manager to see, because now I just clearly see in one screen all the things that this person can do and has done already before. And okay, so then we go into each of those things. I see sketches and inspiration, which is fantastic because I get a feeling of how this person thinks and works. What I might like to see a little more here is the reasoning why. So I see sketches and inspiration, and writing style and these things, but I'd love to hear a little bit more reasons why these things were chosen. Was there any research behind it? Was there any questioning or testing of different ideas with different people that led to choosing this particular style, this particular brand? That would be nice to see. Not essential, but that's the thought that I'm having from this hiring manager perspective as I'm reading. So this is interesting. Actually, in this portfolio, a lot of the UI work has come before, and now it seems that we're getting into more the UX and kind of creation of the usage of the product, the UX of the product. So my guess would be that this portfolio, Matt's portfolio, is aimed at jobs that have a bit more UI in them than UX. And I don't know if that's true, but if I was a hiring manager wanting to hire a UI designer that also had some UX skills, this portfolio would be perfect. On the other hand, if I was trying to hire someone for my team, for my company, and I needed someone who was a UX designer that also had some UI skills, this would be in the wrong order, because I'm seeing all of the UI, all of the visual stuff, all of the end results first. And what I really want to see when I'm hiring a UX designer is how they work, how they started, how they did research, how they got to the decisions that they made, and really how the process of getting to that final result actually happened. So it really depends on the jobs you're applying for and what kind of roles you'd like to do, but this is a really great thing to make sure that you think about. What order am I showing the information in, so that the hiring manager or the person reading it is really getting wowed and getting excited about what I'm showing them. Okay, let's scroll through a little bit more. Yeah, okay. As we're scrolling through, and there's really kind of more showcase work, more visuals. So for a visual UI designer role with also some UX, this example was really fantastic. So key takeaways from Matt's portfolio is really wonderful, clean and simple front page that I immediately get the impression that Matt's done some really interesting, diverse, and really beautifully presented work. So I'm already excited to look and dive in more to what he's done. So there's 3, 4, 5 examples just on the homepage. So I'm getting a good feeling about Matt and his skill set. Think about the order of the information in your portfolio and make sure there's some great hooks in there early on, whether it's on the front page or at the top of each portfolio piece, each example that you give. And make sure there's a catchy hook, something that makes that hiring manager say, oh, this person might be a perfect fit, let me read more. Because most often hiring managers will look at a portfolio and decide pretty quickly whether they're going to keep reading it or not. So make sure you've got those hooks in there. So well done, Matt. That was a really fantastic portfolio. Thank you very much for sending it in to us. And let's move on to portfolio number 2. So let's dive into portfolio number 2. And this one has been submitted from Eva. And I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Eva, as I go through. Please forgive me if I'm not. And I really love the clean, simple view that I have of this first screen. And I really also love the description, the tagline or the text underneath that heading that says, I'm a UX designer with a love for problem solving, an artist with a mathematical way of thinking, and an advocate for inclusive design. So there are a few words here that if I really was the hiring manager looking at this portfolio to hire someone, I've already felt this sense of relating to some personal things that Eva says about themselves, and really feeling like I want to know more about this person and want to dig in and really see more about what they've done and who they are. So this really finding these words that are specific and could really help someone relate to you as a human, can be a great example of that hook that can make someone want to read more of your portfolio rather than having that quick scan and then passing it on to look at the next pile and the next one in the pile. So let's scroll down and have a bit of a look. I also want to actually click this More About Me button, but I'll have a little look at the homepage first. So I'm scrolling down, there's two projects, and then I also see this example here. It's interesting. There's nothing that I can, it's coming soon. Okay. So actually I just didn't notice this coming soon button, but maybe it's just a simple positioning thing. But this is really actually interesting. There's some kind of UX UI design for an online platform for artists. I'm already interested in that and know now that Eva is doing work and involved in things that bring UX and UI design to the things that they're already passionate about, which is art that they already described. So I love to see this. I'm not just doing this so that I can get a job for money, but I'm passionate about this, and this is how I'm bringing UX and UI design into this field I already have. Makes me feel like this is a person who's passionate about what they do. Okay, so I'm going to just have a quick look at one of these examples. I'd love to quickly first click this More About Me button because I've found that I just really want to. There's some great personal information here about Eva. I've got the resume here and can contact as well. And yeah, and there's more personal information that might mean this decision to have really specific information about your interests and what you do outside of design and what you care about is usually a wise choice. There's the slight chance that someone might read this information and think like, oh, I don't relate to this. But more often than not, giving specific information about who you are, what you like, what you do outside, gives people that feeling of seeing you as a human rather than just a portfolio on a page. So usually it's a good choice and really helps people feel connected and want to see your portfolio and see more about you. Okay, so now let's have a really quick look at one of Eva's projects. Okay, a responsive web app for Inktank, which is where tattoo enthusiasts find inspiration. Cool. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the portfolio. I can also actually click to look directly at the prototype, which is great. I'm not going to do right now, but that can really help me get an interactive and engaging feel of what Eva has done. So I really love these really strongly highlighted text, because when we're confronted with lots and lots of text, we really want to find the relevant information quickly, and our eyes are searching for it. So these highlighted, big highlighted headlines and bolded text here really help me scan quickly and decide whether or not I want to put this portfolio on the yes, let's investigate more, or yes, let's ask them for an interview pile. We're having a look here. How might we assist people on the emotional journey of getting a tattoo? Fantastically worded. Background, the industry, the challenge. We've got a great overview of the general process that Eva used, and I really love how they've listed here the exact tools, methods, things that they've used on that journey to get to that solution. So scanning through, we've got these great clear headlines. Really great to have these photos of the real Post-it notes that were used, having real sketches, real Post-it notes, as well as the more high-level diagrams of showing the outcome and the end results are fantastic, because I can really see here that Eva has talked to users, talked to people, done some workshopping with them, or at least that's the impression that I'm getting. I see their names here, I see the Post-it notes that they've used and written. So I can see this was not a invented fake study project. This was a project that was done through study, but it was real, with real people, with real Post-it notes on the wall. So this is really showing me that Eva is engaged in what they're doing. Okay, there's some personas here, and scrolling through have really clearly illustrated and concisely illustrated and shown the process, the challenges, the outcomes, all the steps along the way of that UX design process. And then we're getting into UI design, so wireframing and prototyping and just really designing the UI with those same great headings that let me scan really easily. Learnings, problems, decisions, sketches to the clickable prototype. The format of this portfolio is designed really well for a hiring manager to see and understand and decide whether Eva is going to be a good fit for this job. So there's a lot of information in here, so I'm going to skim over the rest. But my key highlights from this portfolio are really great layout, formatting, and really presentation of the information. You can have great content and really good examples, but if you don't lay them out in a really clear, easy to read and engaging way that hiring manager or that person reading it can really quickly find the information about you and whether it fits the job that they're hiring for. If it's not easy, then you might not even get your portfolio actually fully read by someone. So this is really super important. So the layout and visual presentation of this portfolio is fantastic. But the next key highlight for me in this portfolio was the really clear layout of the design process that Eva went through doing this project. That's often one of the trickiest things to really find when you're looking at someone's CV or portfolio, especially with UX and UI design, is that the hiring manager needs to see the process that you use and have you explain and show how you did the work. Because design is such a creative and intangible thing, the way to make it tangible for someone is to show clearly the steps, the process you went through, and exactly how you did it, what you learned, what went wrong, why you made decisions, why you did things a certain way, because that's how they start to understand who you are as a designer and if you'll fit what they need. Okay, let's look at the last portfolio, number 3. And this portfolio is on Behance, which is perfectly fine. With the other portfolios we've looked at so far have their own web pages, websites, but you can also use Behance and other tools to put your portfolio inside an existing system and not create your own website. Okay, so let's dig into this. And it looks like this is one case study or one project that's been shared. So, and maybe Jaskaran has other projects as well. So we see that they've again listed the role, the project it was for, and that it was also for a Career Foundry course. So this is good to know going in. They've listed their design process in really simple steps, 4 steps, and then the sub-steps underneath, or the tools and the methods that they used underneath. So I'm already getting a clear idea of what kinds of tools and methods they know how to use. And then we go into the definition of the problem statement and more information about that. This analysis, competitive analysis was done with competitor profile, SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats analysis, and UX analysis of some other tools. So this was done. The one thought that I'm having as I'm reading this part is that I had to search a little bit for the information that I wanted. I didn't notice, so it's almost a bit of UI, UX design going on with me looking at this portfolio, but I actually didn't realize that this competitive analysis word here was the heading of what I was looking at. Problem statement, yeah, okay. So as a hiring manager, so I'm not supposed to be doing a UI critique of portfolios, but as the hiring manager, I was scrolling and then feeling like I needed to figure out what I was reading. So this is the last thing that you want that hiring manager to be doing, especially if it might be a team lead, it might be an HR manager, it might be a recruiter. Whoever that person is, they're a leader of something and they've got maybe 100 portfolios to look at and they're scanning really quickly. So the last thing you want them to do is to feel like that reading your portfolio and finding the information about you is work to do. So with this, I would reorganize this information a little bit to make it really clear. It's competitor analysis and the methods used for them, and showing that actually the SWOT analysis also is a bit covered here, so I can't really see what happened, what the weaknesses and threats were underneath there that led to this project, the direction this project took in the end. So just making the information a little clear. Now that I understand this navigation or these headings, I see this is the survey and interviews were done, surveyed 11 participants, and So then I see these percentages. 82% of the people seek advice from experts, 55%. I had to think a little bit about deciphering what this information really meant as well. So already I'm spending a little bit more time on this, and I might be more likely to put this portfolio to the side and check out the next one, just because it's taking me a little bit of time to really get the main points across here. So I'll scroll a bit further down into designing and iterating. I can see personas here. They're actually really beautifully laid out, really clear headings, really clear, and just a few bullet points, not too much text, but just enough. And the user flows as well. I can see really clearly who this is for, which persona it relates to, their goal and the flow, their user flow. This is really clear and fantastic. And then we have a sitemap that's designed based on those. Low fidelity, so sketched wireframes. And then getting to be higher fidelity wireframes. So I know this person can use these design tools to do sketching, to make wireframes, and really clearly laid out here and into prototyping and testing. So yeah, as I scroll through the rest of these and into testing, this is actually, it's kind of a bit of an ugly spreadsheet, but actually my brain is really clearly understanding now what this information is. So it doesn't have to be, actually everything doesn't have to be beautiful, but the information does need to be clear and easy to understand. So I can see, oh, you did usability testing, you tested these things, they had these different rates. I can look down this list and see what the results were of the research that you did very clearly. And I can see that you know how to use this kind of tool to gather data and collate information and use that to make decisions. So as I'm just scrolling through more, we're getting into the UI design, which is also really clear and well done. So this part is impressive. So this is the end of this portfolio, or this particular project or case study. And the key highlights for me would be similar to the last one, that the layout and organization of your portfolio is really important. It doesn't have to be pixel perfect, beautiful designs. It can help if you're going for example, a UI or a graphic design job, if they are, but it really needs to be super clear and easy to read, so it doesn't feel like there's any work involved in trying to get the information about you and about your work out of the portfolio. So that's my biggest key takeaway and key highlight with this one. So overall, this is a really nicely laid out case study or portfolio piece that would go really well into a more comprehensive portfolio with multiple projects. So the next step, maybe it exists already, but we just actually didn't see it. But the next step I would suggest for Jaskiran is to construct an overall portfolio with this as one of the pieces inside that. So I can also see a picture of you as a person, as a designer, and then see the pieces of work that you've done. So that wraps up the portfolio reviews. A huge thank you on behalf of everyone at Career Foundry to Matt, Eva, and Jaskiran for sending us your portfolios and letting us break them down and give feedback that will be beneficial to people all around the world. We had loads of submissions for portfolios to be reviewed, so I'm really sorry if we didn't get to yours this time. But if you would like to have your portfolio reviewed in a future video, please put a link to your portfolio in the comments below. If you're interested in getting started in UX or UI design, Career Foundry have 2 free short courses in both of these areas, and you can sign up for either via the links in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Chairs over here now. For what did I say? Why do I say things? So. If you have any questions or comments, what's a comment? The link is in the comments.